April 16th, 2019, Superstar Shakeup Part 2 from Montreal. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. With me, as always, Mr. Matt Morgan, Mr. Raj Giri. Roman Reigns is now on SmackDown Live.
Predictable.
Yeah, I like the little fake out with Elias coming out first with Mr. McMahon really selling his acquisition.
That was good.
It was a smart way to do it, too, because there is a chance that the fans might have booed Roman with, when they're calling it the biggest acquisition in SmackDown history. So by doing it the way they did, got the heat on Elias, Roman looks, and then Roman is a pleasant surprise when he comes out.
Mm-hmm. Only would have been better if it was Baron Corbin first.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I thought the way they did it was good. I thought it was clever. And I think Roman to SmackDown really kind of freshens things up over there. I think him and AJ switching brands was a smart move.
Yeah, I like where things have fallen. I'm sure they're going to make more announcements on WWE.com about where some of the lower and mid-card talent has moved. Because as it stands right now, the roster seemed very lopsided with SmackDown somewhat uneven, but we did have some interesting developments tonight. So we opened up with Kevin Owens and the Kevin Owens Show, him having out Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Kevin in Montreal, full on in this face run that he's having, and sold the idea of teaming with the New Day later in the evening with Big E out with a torn meniscus. Kevin Owens is going to be Big O. They really, really were putting that over tonight in a match with them against Rusev, Shinsegae Nakamura, and Cesaro. And Matt, what do you think of Kevin Owens as a babyface?
Well, I don't like it.
I don't think it's lasting long. Daniel Bryan's injured. Obviously, hopefully it's nothing too bad, but 2 weeks in a row he hasn't appeared on TV. So my guess is they're going with Kofi and Kevin Owens at the next pay-per-view. So this seems a way to me to start telling that story, have Owens turn in the next week or two, and then it's Owens versus Kofi. And there's actually a good built-in story there when you think about it. Some of it's a little insider, so they're not going to use it with Kofi taking Kevin Owens' spot at WrestleMania. But I'm guessing that's where they're going.
But it's cool that it's not really too insider because they can always play the highlights of Kevin Owens being booed when they made the decision to put him in that match, if you remember, and then cheer like hell when it ended up being Kofi going through. You know what I mean?
And then also that Fastlane match, remember, where it was supposed to be Daniel Bryan against Kevin Owens, and then Mustafa Ali got added for no reason, and Daniel Bryan ended up pinning Ali. So Owens never got beat. He never got his title match, his one-on-one with Daniel Bryan, and Kofi got it. So there's a good story there if they actually tell it. You know how WWE is with stuff like that, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. So they set that match up later in the evening. They made Kevin go through some initiation rituals with the New Day, including eating pancakes. Kevin Owens, I buy it on kayfabe, but not this idea that Kevin Owens saying he never had a pancake before in his life until tonight. Bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's that is hard to believe. Real quick, Matt, Big E has a torn meniscus. What is
in his knee?
In his knees. What is the kind of the timetable you've seen with that kind of an injury?
It's not an ACL. It's not. I've torn my meniscus on Tough Enough, and that was enough to put me out of the competition, which I thought was BS because it only was 2 weeks later. I scoped my knee. I did a knee scope, which is a very minor procedure, and I walked out of the damn hospital after the procedure, and we built my knee strength back up. And I was good to go. I want to say 2 weeks after that. 4 weeks. You can wrestle with a torn meniscus.
Matt, I know you were frustrated by that. Would you have been more pissed off? I'm just remembering now. Wasn't that the season of Tough Enough where instead of a man and a woman, they gave it to two women? Would you have been more pissed off if you would have stayed in the competition and lost that way by them changing the rules?
It wouldn't have been two women.
Oh, very, very confident. That was a good season of Tough Enough. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that at some point. Really, really remember enjoying that when it was airing and being very pissed off by the finish, which for me is a sign of investment. Anyhow, so Finn Balor is now on SmackDown Live, and tonight he had a match against Mustafa Ali. I'm assuming that Samoa Joe being deathly ill with pneumonia and not being able to even appear on TV tonight means the U.S. title is going to Raw?
He was supposed to be on Raw last night. He was scheduled for a segment on Raw last night. So they obviously had a plan for Samoa Joe to go last night, but he was really sick, so his segment was scrapped. So so clearly they still stuck with that plan. So Finn Balor's now on SmackDown, and Samoa Joe's going to Raw.
Yeah. How do you feel about this move, Matt?
I think it's great for both talents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Finn takes AJ's spot is the way I see this.
Yeah, and just thinking about the matchups it creates again, with Finn and Daniel Bryan, which would be awesome.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that specifically, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest one that comes to mind. But, even Finn and Nakamura, if they can get Nakamura out of this tag team and back going again. But there's a lot of intriguing matchups that opens up.
It really does open up a lot, actually. I really love the Daniel Bryan matchup.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to keep Roman out of the title picture for the foreseeable future on SmackDown?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like he would just steamroll over whoever it is. So, he's in a situation where he doesn't need to be the champion to be the guy.
Right.
I think that it's going to take an absolute huge amount of restraint on the creative's part.
He'll be back in the world title picture, but he doesn't need to be in it right now. You got a good storyline with Kofi. The fans are behind it. Keep that going for a while, and once that's gotten played out, and if you don't have anyone else hot, you can always put Roman in. But he's always there. You could always plug him in, but you don't need him right now.
Yeah. So we had Finn Balor versus Ali tonight. I feel like Mustafa just belongs in that name.
Now, here's a great matchup. Paper said, "Holy crap! I can't wait to see this."
Yeah, kind of wasted.
Really good. Well,
just throwing it away, but
it's a good match.
It was a good match. Yeah, it was really good.
And then they followed. So Finn won that with the coup de grace.
And this was the same exact. And this was one of the problems I had with the Superstar shakeup. Is remember back in the past where they would have GMs fighting over talent, and it really meant something when a talent jumped to the other brand.
Well, they
and in this,
it really meant something. But yes.
But yeah. I mean, it's been a while, but. In this, it's just, the next match, if someone's jumping from, someone new is joining SmackDown, and then that person comes, wins, and they should win for sure, but it was the same exact formula they did 2 nights in a row. Nothing really creative, nothing new, nothing interesting outside of the Roman jump. So, I don't know.
I never bought it, though. That's the problem. I never really bought Paul Heyman saying, Eric Bischoff, I outscooped you, and I got this guy out of the draft, and you didn't. Man, I never really bought that.
Right. Well, I was looking back 10 years ago at the 2009 one where it was just chaos, after someone's match, someone would get announced. It was just very unpredictable. You didn't know where the show was going. Whereas this year is very formulaic. It was just the exact same thing they kept doing over and over. And if you watch the highlights of the 2009 draft, you'll see what I mean. But and even that one wasn't one of the best, but it was still, as far as excitement and chaos and just unpredictability, it was way higher up.
I think it's weird they got rid of the GM concept, having an active on-screen GM with December with this sort of soft reset they've done, because that wasn't something that wasn't working. I mean, that was actually working pretty well, I thought, when they were doing Shane versus Stephanie. I mean, I think it's missed out on that story component because now we don't feel there's no behind-the-scenes presence on camera that's effective.
It was working for a while when it was Shane versus Steph, but then when it got to be Corbin and Paige, I thought Paige was doing a good job, but there was no feud there. There was no rivalry. There hasn't really been an on-screen rivalry with Raw and SmackDown. I feel like that's kind of hurt this whole brand.
But here's the thing: the two will never face each other, right? So who cares?
They do every year.
There's not going to be a payoff of Stephanie McMahon versus Shane McMahon.
Oh yeah.
No matter what. So I like the idea of both McMahons just trying to compete with each other. Who's going to put on the best show? Shane really always sold that, I thought, really well. He looked like he was legitimately proud of his roster and his show being superior.
Yeah, and I know it was
that's dead.
I know it was a dark chapter for Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan was great as the an on-screen presence with Shane.
Yes, I know you didn't like too many people, but the people they had doing it, I thought worked. I did like Daniel Bryan. I liked Paige too.
Yeah. Well, I think Paige, now that she's back as a manager, and we'll talk about that later, looking how stacked the women's roster is on SmackDown and the way they had her out there in that role tonight, sort of overseeing that chaos. I think there could be a way for something organically to happen there. But first, we got Charlotte Flair versus Carmela. And this was interesting. No interference during the match itself. And when it finally did happen, Carmela was out there with R-Truth, and it was Lars Sullivan coming out after Charlotte Flair got the win, bridging the figure 4 into the figure 8, making Carmela scream and tap out for the finish. And interesting tonight. Let's break down first, Matt. What did you think of the match? Charlotte versus Carmela. Charlotte coming back, establishing that she's a heel, talking about she hates Canada, trying to rekindle this rivalry with Carmela. What did you think of this tonight for Charlotte's next chapter after the loss at WrestleMania?
I don't think they're rekindling it, right? Because Carmela's she's in a different place, different character, different look. Charlotte's in a different place too, I would argue. She really just set herself up for the greatest of all time, in my opinion. With her last championship win. I know I'm saying a mouthful, but that's my personal opinion. You guys don't have to agree with it. But so she's in a completely different category. Way eons ahead of Carmela.
I agree. To think of Carmela beating Charlotte, like if you were watching this tonight, and to think of Carmela beating Charlotte for the title last year, just makes last year seem like a long time ago. Because Charlotte is at another level, and especially as a heel, she's so comfortable as a heel.
She is.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like it's a no-brainer. This was an exhibition for Charlotte. Just get her a big win, not even a big win, but a win. She looked good. I felt like she's too good of a heel to be doing that I hate Canada stuff. Like, I feel like she's a little better than that. But I thought it was exactly what it's supposed to be. Charlotte getting a clean, pretty decisive win.
It was interesting. She wasn't in that segment when they were talking about who's next for the SmackDown Women's title. I think it would be smart to similar to what we're talking about with Roman. Put Charlotte in her own program right now. Keep her out of the championship picture for a little bit. Yeah,
I think they are. Yeah, I think they've done Charlotte versus Becky to death. I feel like it would be bad to do that right now. But at the same time, without that, there is no match on SmackDown that's really that big. When you see, I mean, it's all, and I know Glenn, you kind of criticized Ronda in WWE as far as where the other women were positioned. Now it's back to clumping all the women together and everyone seeming like a mid-carder again.
But Raj, it easily could be Asuka, and they screwed her with
They screwed it up. Yeah, they could have been. If Asuka beat Becky at the Royal Rumble, they had a built-in story there if they had kept Asuka strong, but they didn't.
Yeah, we'll see where they go. Lars Sullivan came out. I was picking something up. They intentionally had him look at Carmela a few times to where this is not a fleeting glance, passing ways. And then he proceeds to go after R-Truth. R-Truth, who got in a surprising amount of offense against the guy they're trying to build as a monster freak going forward. I've tweeted about this. I'm afraid there's going to be like the Kane Lita storyline. Lars is obsessed with Carmela, wants to battle R-Truth for possession of her. I don't know. Very weird tonight to have this be... Right, I mean, there was a little too much. The camera lingered a little too long on that exchange. But Lars is on SmackDown, which that to me is shocking. We don't know that. Talking about this, no, they showed him tonight when they showed the Superstar graphic shakeup. Raj, remember?
They did. They showed him because last night they announced him on Raw on their website. They said Lars Sullivan
front and center. It was
today.
Lars.
He's on the website on SmackDown tonight,
okay, so he is officially switched. So that's good.
Good for Drew McIntyre
him and Braun should be on separate brands.
Good for Braun too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I'm curious what they're going to do with Lars on SmackDown.
I thought Braun on SmackDown, I think, was the call they should have made.
Yeah.
Just to freshen him up a little bit. It would have given him a different, some sort of aesthetic, different look at least coming out. I know it sounds small, but in a different ring, different stage setup for his entrance. Different matchups, obviously. And that's the land of the midget. Not midgets, I shouldn't really call it that, but a lot of dwarf tossing he could be doing on SmackDown.
The problem with Braun as a babyface right now is there's like no heel that they could do a good feud with on SmackDown. That
Oh my
they would
God,
have them squash everyone.
EB. That's my answer. That's my answer for everything. Daniel Bryan. Oh, he could do it. With his heater in his corner, he could do it.
Yeah, he could. He is the answer for everything.
He really is. He really is.
Yeah, he's great.
So yeah, Lars Sullivan on SmackDown. And I'm sure they'll publish on the website where some of the other talents ending up people in the chat acting like, what brand is Nikki Cross on? I mean,
Yeah, well, they made a lot of those, like Alistair Black and Ricochet, right? Last night on Raw. At the beginning, they're like, "Oh, are they on Raw?" And then at the end, they're like, "Well, we don't know if they're on Raw." And it's like, this is your brand split. This is your superstar shakeup. You should be explaining to your audience and not have them confused on who is where.
Yeah.
Make it clear. It's just anyway.
Yeah, I wish it was simpler, but it's not. Speaking of simple, let's take a moment to thank the sponsor of tonight's episode, which is Wix, W-I-X. Wix makes it so simple, so easy, so painless to build a website. You've heard Raj Giri and I talk about this before. Building a website is so time-consuming, such tedious work. You either have to learn how to code, you have to learn a content management system, you have to figure out where everything goes, how to make it look great on a desktop, great on a mobile, great on a tablet. But no, with Wix, it's so easy. It's a joy to build a website with Wix. With Wix, you can start and publish for free, choose from over 500 stunning templates, or start from scratch, drag and drop, change, customize, and add anything you want. Add your own text, images, videos, and more. There are hundreds of design features and apps to grow your brand online. All sites include built-in SEO tools. No more guessing, no more taking advice of someone who thinks they know how Google works, how to rank high. No, Wix has it all built in, and everything is automatically optimized for any device, desktop or mobile. Get the tools you need to create the website you want. And if you're running a business, well, millions of businesses use Wix to create websites. You can instantly connect your customers, manage interactions in one place, use their advanced business features to boost productivity, manage your workflow, meet deadlines, build customer relationships, and set up multiple payment options. If you want to take contributions, have an online store, Wix has got it all. And I love these plugins. So great. Use this for a political campaign here locally last year with Wix. It was fantastic. We wanted to add a mailing list. Boom. We want to take contributions online. Boom. There's an app for that. They had everything we needed. We had calendars. We had countdowns, all the bells and whistles. Raj, your wife has used this to build her website and her business, and she's been very, very happy, right? She's not calling you asking for tech support. She can figure it out herself.
That is a good point. Not once ever has she called with any issues or anything like that when she made it. And she's not a techie by any means. She hates coding, doesn't want to do any of that. Built it without writing a single line of code. And yeah, and it runs great. It works on all devices. And the one thing, because Wrestling Inc. is all custom coded by me, and it drives me nuts how I want to add a new feature and it'll look like crap on a tablet, and I'm spending half a day fixing it on tablet, then it's not working on mobile. And with this, everything works perfectly on all devices. And it was so quick. She got it up and running in just a few hours. So yeah, I mean, it's a great tool. I mean, honestly, I don't know how much longer with my age that I'm going to be, continuing to program. So I'm going to look into seeing what kind of options they might have for a site like mine.
No, absolutely. And you can get started now. Go to wix.com/podcast to get 10% off. Like we said, you could try it. You can publish for free and want to upgrade to that paid plan. Go to wix.com/podcast to get 10% off. Wix.com/podcast. And we thank them for sponsoring Wrestling Inc. Becky Lynch came out tonight to talk about her future and really just confirm that she's going to be defending both belts across both brands. And then she was interrupted by Ember Moon. And Matt, Raj, I know this is your favorite style of promo, where somebody's music hits, they come out and talk. Somebody else's music hits, they come out and talk. And next thing you know, there's a dozen people in the ring. Ember Moon, Bayley, both coming to Raw. Those are big headlines coming out of this. And Bayley confirming she's there to compete as a singles competitor. No hugs to give. The Boston Hug Connection. It's not over. It's certainly on hold, given that Sasha Banks has a question mark next to her name. Matt Morgan, what do you think they do with Bayley from here?
I think she's in a good spot, actually. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with her eventually on SmackDown.
I think she'd be very credible competition. Raj?
Yeah, Glenn, we were talking about this before we went on the other. The more I think about it, of all the women that were in that ring, Bayley is the one that makes the most sense of all of them. She has history with Becky as far as like her first feud right now for Becky right now on SmackDown Live. I don't know if you do a heel turn. I just don't see Becky as a heel. I could see them doing it, but just her promo, she just sounds too sweet. Well, we'll have to see if she can adjust. I mean, I used to think the same thing with Sami Zayn. He's been tremendous. But yeah, I mean, I think Bayley makes the most sense as far as a credible challenger.
Well, and what's interesting now is remember how great it was in NXT when she won the title? They really just kicked her down so much as a character. All of her peers had been called up to the main roster. They painted this portrait. She was always the bridesmaid, never the bride, never the one to get the championship. All these opportunities, everyone in the left had abandoned her, and nothing was there for her. We were talking about this on Twitter. Had a great exchange with a former writer for WWE. This idea that Bayley, regains her smile. Maybe not a heel turn, but certainly she's as low as she's ever been right now. What better arc than a road to redemption that goes right through Becky Lynch? Ember Moon, I'd kind of forgotten about Ember. It was nice to see her tonight.
She just came back from injury at WrestleMania. So she had been out of action, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is looking pretty good. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville came out and interrupted. The Iconics came out and interrupted. And then Paige came out to announce the tag team. People assumed she was bringing up the Sky Pirates, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. But no, Kairi Sane paired with Asuka as a tag team. Paige as their mouthpiece. Matt, are you excited for this?
Yeah, I think it's a hell of a pairing. I just feel bad for Asuka because she's better than tag team duty.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. I just feel like there's so much you could be doing with Asuka. She's already got the pedigree. She's held a title just not long ago. So just putting her in a tag team in the tag team division, on the one hand, it does strengthen the tag team division. It does give you a credible tag team. On the other hand, it does bring her down when you do need more world title contenders. But the pairing should be awesome. I think they'll be great. Kairi, I love Kairi Sane. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think the Iconics looked very good tonight. They're kind of coming into their own finally. So we will see what happens there. After that, it was main event time. Oh, the winners of that match, of course, it went into a 4-on-4 tag match, and the winners were Kairi Sane, Asuka, Ember Moon, and Bayley against the Iconics, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Mandy and Sonya tonight, that matching ring gear, I thought they looked on point with how they were coming out there. I like Paige in this role. I don't know. How are you feeling? Who do you think has a better women's roster now, Matt? Raw or SmackDown? I mean, who's left on Raw? Okay, so on Raw, we've got
technically Sasha,
Lacey Evans.
SmackDown.
Yeah, because on Raw, I was running through this in my head. We've got Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch. We've got Ronda Rousey, who's not there. We've got Sasha, who's not there. We've got Nia Jax, who's not there. And so that leaves Tamina, Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox, Mickie James, and Alexa
Mickie
Bliss.
James just moved to SmackDown.
Okay, well there you have it.
And run through the rest of the shake-up moves that weren't on TV here in a minute.
Yeah, what do you got?
You want to do it real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, so we saw Reigns, Balor, Elias, Bayley, Ember Moon, Kairi Sane, Lars Sullivan. So Lars Sullivan, is on SmackDown. Buddy Murphy, they did a little vignette for him. Liv Morgan, so they broke up the Riot Squad. Chad Gable, so they broke up Rude and Gable, so that's a good thing.
Who's on SmackDown?
Chad Gable.
Okay.
Kind of back to where he was a year ago, pretty much. Apollo Crews, back to SmackDown, and Mickie James. As far as Raw goes, Ricochet and Aleister Black are officially on Raw. EC3 is officially on Raw. And pretty much everyone else we kind of knew. Eric Young, we talked about that yesterday, but he's on Raw. So there might be more, but that's what it's at right now.
Yeah, and it's funny, Tyler Breeze was teasing something today, and then, of course, Xavier Woods was talking about wanting to move Tyler to SmackDown. Be curious, I think, if I had to pick after Luke Harper, and we'll talk about that, Luke Harper requesting his release today, I think Tyler could easily follow suit if things don't improve for him. But we'll talk about that at the end of the show. First, we had the main event tonight.
And remind me about Alexander Wolf as well.
Oh, that's right. So Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, and Xavier Woods versus Cesaro, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Kevin really leaning in. They were calling him Big O tonight in Montreal, doing the intro for New Day, coming out in the gear. It was fun. Kevin Owens and the New Day picked up a win over Cesaro.
You
Rusev,
saw
and
where they
Shinsuke.
stole this from, right? I can't be the only one who saw this.
What's that?
the Kevin Owens gimmick coming out with New Day stuff?
No.
You didn't find this a little bit biting off of when he joined Young Bucks?
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about that. But
Where he wore their gear and everything.
Right.
It looked ridiculous on him.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I wonder if this was all his idea.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Watches the hell out of it. They watch each other.
Right.
You know.
Ah, good call.
Absolutely. What's up with Sheamus?
Yeah, I wonder if that. I kind of hope that means they're splitting Sheamus and Cesaro up. I guess Sheamus was backstage at Raw. Well, Sheamus and Cesaro were both backstage at Raw. I don't know. I mean, hopefully Sheamus isn't injured. And yeah, just hopefully it's just them splitting them up because they've been a tag team for a long time. It's gotten kind of stale.
No, I think this is League of Nations 2.0 at this point.
I
With
hope not.
Rusev, Cesaro, Nakamura, and why not throw Sheamus in there as well?
We saw how well it worked, how well 1.0 worked out. So I hope not.
Yeah. Oh man. So this match tonight, it was good. It's fine.
Yeah,
I hope this is leading to a Kevin Owens heel turning on Kofi because I'm not digging this version of KO right now.
me neither.
Yeah, and KO and the New Day won. We will see what happens from there. Then Vince McMahon came out to close off the show, and as we said earlier, teased the biggest acquisition ever in the history of SmackDown. It was Elias. Elias came out, started to play his music, interrupted by Roman Reigns. Roman Superman punched Vince McMahon. Roman Reigns speared Elias. How is this going to work without Michael Cole on the same show as Roman to yell out the big dog every 5 seconds?
He's going to get over it. It's going to work.
Right? Yeah, it's not going to get anger people as soon as he comes out because Michael Cole's yelling the big dog. Same as Sasha. So
Yes.
you have someone not saying boss time every time she comes out.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, she should move to SmackDown just for that reason.
Just for that reason. Bro. Yeah. Yes.
And it should be also mentioned that we saw the same 2 creepy Bray Wyatt vignettes, commercials tonight, the teasers that we saw during Raw, we saw on SmackDown as well.
Yeah.
So all in all, I thought this was an exciting episode of SmackDown. I'm feeling better about the future of SmackDown than I am Raw at this point.
I am too.
Yeah. And it was exactly what they needed to do, right? Because moving to Fox, you need to start making SmackDown strong. You don't want to do it at the last minute. So it makes sense.
Yeah. And we'll see. I think there's still going to be some reverberations next week that are felt. Raj, I'm sure you reported on this. Not only was Samoa Joe ill last night, but there were a lot of travel problems with talent getting to Raw in Montreal last night. So I'm sure there'll be a couple more tweaks being made on next week's shows.
I mean, they haven't announced Samoa Joe yet. That's clearly going to happen.
Yeah.
To Raw?
Yeah, to Raw.
Yeah.
Sucks for Bobby Roode. I think he's just in creative hell on Raw.
How do we know that? How do we know he doesn't, take a few months off and come back,
Well, they did just turn heel, so maybe they just have him stay as a heel as a singles and go with that. And, because now Gable is on SmackDown, so they're no longer a tag team, and he did turn heel. So hopefully they'll let him run with that.
But they turned heel. Well, let's hope he's heel for sure. Yes, I agree with that. But I don't think it has anything to do with them being a tag team that turned heel. That's dead.
Yeah. No,
We're not
yeah.
supposed to care about them as a tag team at this point.
Yeah, but hopefully they don't see it as the tag team's dead, so now Bobby Roode's a face again. We'll see.
I think next week on SmackDown, Gable comes out in that ridiculous robe with Glorious playing.
No.
I know.
Yeah, with Buddy Murphy. I wonder if that means... Oh, no, I forgot. Buddy Murphy lost the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah. This is all exciting. I think they really stepped in it last night with the Viking experience. I think that set a very bad tone for the entire superstar shakeup.
It did. It just makes you realize how corny WWE can be. It's not even changing a name is one thing, but really from War Raiders, the best you could come up with is the Viking experience. And part of me was just waiting for that kind of a moment tonight. And luckily there wasn't anything that bad. I just thought this whole superstar shakeup was not that exciting. It was formulaic. It didn't feel unpredictable or it just didn't feel exciting. And I just feel like that with WWE programming in general lately. It just doesn't feel exciting. It's kind of the same stuff week after week. You're kind of seeing the same thing.
Did you see how hard last night on Twitter Road Dogg was defending the Viking experience and getting into it with people?
Yeah. Mick Foley too.
Yeah.
What do you
normally
mean,
you don't see that.
Fully defending it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he was bringing up Foley was basically saying like names could change. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be stuck with that name. And hopefully with the backlash they've been getting over it, they do change it. But I can see Vince just being like, well, screw those fans. I know better. And so we're going to double down on it.
The name doesn't make sense is the point. Whether you think it's corny or not, who cares? It doesn't make sense. How's this an experience? Does it mean they're playing Vikings? Am I to believe they're playing Vikings? And this is the Viking experience. Come aboard. Come with,
Right. It sounds like an amusement park ride.
It sounds like an eating place. Like, what do you call it is?
Like medieval times?
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
Yes.
Or like someone mentioned yesterday, it sounds like a porno.
Do I get a drumstick with my meal when I get to watch these two wrestle?
Yeah.
What's the gimmick?
It sounds like a very, very expensive, prostitution offering. Well, you can have the Viking experience for our top level clients. It's just very, very, very bad. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So Alexander Wolf is going back to NXT.
Well, he said goodbye to WWE. So Sanity is clearly broken up. Eric Young moving to Raw. Killian Dane this morning hinted at it. So he said goodbye to Eric Young and Alexander Wolf. And then tonight, Alexander Wolf posted this long thing about his achievements in NXT and said goodbye to Sanity and goodbye to WWE. Now, we don't know officially what that means. I mean, Luke Harper did request his release earlier, but there was speculation that he's probably just going back to NXT.
Huh. Yeah, Luke Harper asked for his release today, posted on Twitter a note explaining his motivation for it. And man, everyone is really behind this guy. Do you think when you do a move like this, especially in this current climate, you've already felt out that Ring of Honor or AEW or someone else is interested, Raj?
I don't know, because legally you can't if you're still under contract, right? Like Luke Harper, that's contract tampering, and I would think ROH would know not to do that.
Yeah, but you do it through your friend.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could just be he's just so sick of it. I mean, just look at how he's been used since when he's not in the Wyatt family. It's just been nothing.
It's super talented, super good. Could be a upper semi-main event talent consistently.
Yeah.
Well, and it was pointed out by many on Twitter today that like Vince was really, really behind the Bludgeon Brothers. Creative was really behind it. It's not that he's had lack of opportunities.
Well, they got injured, and
That's the way to use them. Bludgeon Brothers sucked.
yeah,
They did, but they were champions. I mean, they got pushed.
They were
Yeah,
getting pushed.
But they weren't over, and it's not their
Yeah.
fault. It was a stupid, stale gimmick like the Viking experience. It's lame. I love characters. That doesn't give you an excuse, creative freedom, to make the lamest character possible that is unrelatable. Everyone's talking about relatable characters, right? How in the hell are those characters relatable? Well, because they're on TV right now and on a very highly rated cable television show. Again, no one's watching that show because the Vikings are relatable. They're watching it because we know it's a throwback in history, in a different part of the time of our history that we get to watch again. Therefore, it's cool again. It doesn't mean wrestling. Guys from my generation and your generation get to play a Viking. We're supposed to believe they're shoot Vikings. That's lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah, they were getting pushed, but it's not like when their music hit, people were like jumping on their feet or like,
Cool.
like loud boos or anything.
Matt Morgan the Stutter. Let's say I became world champion. Would you guys really think that, wow, the gimmick was great? No, you'd still say that thing sucked.
Oh,
Right.
but come on. In this day and age, Matt, you'd be on the Today Show, be like, he overcame a speech impediment to become the WWE champion. You'd be speaking in schools. Like in this climate, the stutter gimmick actually, well, if people find out you were faking, that might be considered a weird sort of like co-opting. Yeah. Like they would be like, oh, that's a little bad. Appropriation of a speech disability. But if it were genuine, that you'd be the most over guy. You'd be the face of the company.
Come on, but my point is, it doesn't matter what they do as far as a push goes. If the gimmick is stupid and stale and or lame or corny or whatever, it's all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just too corny to ever really get over until they got rid of the mallets and stuff. It just looks so corny.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with Luke if he's granted his release or not. He's not been granted, but he did request it. And
yeah, Ty Dillinger did something famously a couple months ago. He did the same exact thing. Posted on Twitter that he put it on Twitter that he requested it, and he eventually was released. So we'll see if it works.
Yeah. So, Raj, what's going on? AEW Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah, so AEW announced that their third major event, Fight for the Fallen, it'll benefit the Jacksonville Victim Assistance Advisory Council, and it'll take place on Saturday, July 13th from Daly's Place Amphitheater at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Tickets go on sale this week, this Thursday, I believe. Is it Thursday or Friday? Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see, because this is kind of, as we've been seeing over the last couple of years, wrestling fans will pay a lot of money and they'll fly out and jump on tickets quick when something's like new and fresh. Now that you got the Double or Nothing, it hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. I think how tickets sell for this event is going to be kind of telling.
Agreed. I mean, Double or Nothing in Vegas sold out so fast. It's
Right.
looking like it's going to be really, really hot, especially with StarCast 2 happening around it. So, yeah, this will be yet another test for AEW on the road to getting a TV deal. And have you heard anything more, Raj, about who that's going to be?
Well, Turner was one of the groups, and I think it was Jason Powell who had reported that Showtime was the other. So I think clearly Turner would be the better option, just as far as exposure goes.
Because what happens with channels like Showtime is people subscribe when the fall season comes back and all their hit shows come back on TV. I know I do that. And then we shit can it once they're over.
Wait, what's that?
People that order Showtime do not keep it throughout the year generally. They'll order it when the fall season hits and all their hit shows are back on, the original content TV shows, right? And then they shit can it as soon as those shows are over with. They don't keep it all year.
Yeah. HBO is kind of the same way. When Game of Thrones comes on, you got a ton of people signing up.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think clearly Turner would be TBS TNT, most likely TNT, which wouldn't be Tuesday nights, because Tuesday nights you got basketball on TNT. So it'd be likely Wednesday or Thursday, because Friday's SmackDown. So, and of those two, I'd say that Wednesday is probably the better night, because Thursday you're going to have Thursday Night Football.
Yeah. And Pay Cable, has Pay Cable ever had a weeknight hit? I'm trying to think. Pay Cable seems to live or die based on its Sunday night programming, by and large.
Sunday night programming, yep.
Yeah, so that would be a huge, huge change. Man, eventful times in the world of professional wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And I think with this tonight, I mean, this is the start. This is the start of rebuilding SmackDown prior to it moving to Fox in the fall. How did Raw's ratings do last night, Raj?
All right. So down 26% from last year. I think a lot of people thought like last week's Raw was probably hurt because of, what was it? The college, whatever. The basketball game, the college finals. But this week, it was last week was down 25% from last year's Post-Mania show. This year's Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw did 2.665 million viewers. Last year's did, let's see, I got it here. It was 3.622. So almost a million viewers less than last year. And that's a big 26% drop. I mean, that's a gigantic drop. I think year to year, this is the biggest drop year to year, since Raw's moved to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. It's tough times, man. Like if you're not buying what the WWE is selling right now, I don't think they're going to attract anyone who stopped watching, right?
No.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch like Game of Thrones or any good show. They do stuff to keep you hooked on to next week. They do like cliffhangers and things like that, and get you just excited. And crazy things happen during the show. Raw is just too.
They don't have to do that 52 weeks a year.
That's true. But soap operas do.
Yeah, soap operas do that all the time. And Raw used to do it.
I mean, yeah, Raw did used to.
I just feel like, could somebody get Vince like a box set of Breaking Bad, just like a handful of shows in the modern era, and let him see what the current rhythm of storytelling is for television?
Or a box set of Raw from like 98 to like 2001.
Yeah, it is different now. That is for sure. But we'll see. I'm stoked that a month from today is Money in the Bank. Are they doing another? I mean, we got the Shield's final chapter on Sunday, but are they going to Saudi Arabia next month, or is there any other?
That's supposed to be. It looks like that's going to be in June.
Okay, so this is going to be like the longest time. When's the last time there was 6 weeks without a pay-per-view? Or
Not
even 5 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah. I think last year was kind of similar, but they did have the Saudi Arabia show kind of stuck in there somewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, that was right after Mania. So it's good. I think this gives them time to let things settle, tell some stories, and improve the product. But all in all, the Superstar shakeup, I don't know. Raj, how are you feeling? Sort of your final thoughts on...
It's kind of nothing, right? Outside of Roman and AJ, the rest was just kind of there.
If Braun was moved to SmackDown, it would have been, I think, a lot bigger, obviously. But I dig Roman on SmackDown. I think it changes the complexion completely of that show.
Absolutely.
And in the past, I don't know if we were excited for AJ. We were excited for Joe when they went to SmackDown to get opportunity. But I wouldn't say it changed the landscape. Roman does.
It does. I think AJ on Raw, I don't know about you guys. I'm not excited to see him against Corbin. And we're Lashley. I think AJ needs to turn heel.
Or that. Hell yeah.
And feud with Seth. Obviously that's a money feud right there. Don't do that right away.
And they could do this, and AJ can get all his shit in. He can do all his fancy, all his nice, all his like really cool offensive moves and get his shit in against a Seth, because Seth can one up him athletically. Yeah. And it would make sense to do it, where AJ always had to hold back a lot unless he was working Daniel Bryan or someone like that, where he was the heel. He wasn't able to do everything because the heel shouldn't be outshining a babyface, but he can do it with a Seth because Seth can outshine him.
Yeah. And then with SmackDown, with Lars there now, we saw what Roman did with Braun, right? How he helped take Braun to that next level. You get Lars doing squashes for months and months and months, and then you eventually get to that Roman feud. And that's a way to keep Roman still out of the world title picture and help get Lars to that next level.
So here's what's completely in disarray, a complete wasteland. The SmackDown tag team division has the champions, the Hardy Boys. And what are they going to do? Face off against Gallows and Anderson every week? I mean, who's left? Sanity's broken up. The Bar is potentially broken up. Rusev and Nakamura maybe are going to keep going together. There's the New Day with Big E out, and Kofi as champ is in disarray. Right.
Yeah, they've kind of swapped tag divisions as far as one being completely gutted. I mean, I'm guessing we're going to hear in the next day or two a few more trades. That's how they've done it every year. They have like the supplemental, draft or whatever. So I'm guessing the Revival or someone like that gets moved to SmackDown, or maybe a couple teams. But yeah, they've got to do something. And who else is ready on? Is anyone else ready on NXT as far as tag teams go, other than Undisputed Era? I don't see them moving them right now. But
Street Profits.
I don't know if they're quite ready yet.
It's never stopped them.
Yeah. It's true.
Well, we don't know where Heavy Machinery is going to end up.
Heavy Machinery. I think it makes sense for them to be on SmackDown.
Yeah, especially now with Viking experience there. Of course, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Street Profits at least would stand out. I mean, you got Heavy Machinery and Viking experience. Take the makeup, take the outfits off them. I guarantee you couldn't figure out who belonged to which team.
I've seen Vince's experience with guys like that. The big, bearded, not jacked up guys, it just hasn't been working out. Killian Dane, there's been others in the past, but just he doesn't know how to push that look.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're going to wrap it up, folks. We'll be back here Monday night to talk about Raw, the fallout from the Superstar shakeup, and the Shield's final chapter. Matt Morgan, anything you want to plug before we take this home?
No.
Raj Giri, what's coming up on Wrestling Inc.?
More from our interview with Marty Jannetty, Brian Knobs, we PCO talking about Enzo and Cass invading, the ROH show, how pissed off he was, the reaction backstage. So that's coming up tomorrow. Apparently, New Japan talent didn't know about Enzo and Cass. So while ROH scheduled that. So lots of cool stuff. And AOP should probably be heading to SmackDown. Some people are bringing that up, and I guess Acom, I'm forgetting. Should be returning from injury soon.
Well, there you have it. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein. I'd appreciate a follow there. And until next time, folks, we'll catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.